I'm making that choice thoroughly. What happens is what you'll see is that atmosphere when you're carrying Jesus and you just smiling, you can be praising under you. Just got to worship Jesus in you. Just, yeah. Right? It changes the atmosphere that wasn't so positive around you into, it's like, wow, God, how'd that?
And this.
Do you see? So we actually, what? As we're called to be the reflections of Him, light reflects, right? So they're not seeing us the way we tend to see us. We just keep stepping with Him, and they're actually seeing a reflection of Him because we're not who we used to be. We're not the same grumpy, edgy, off the handle kind of guy I used to be. You see what I'm saying? Something about you begins to change. Something about you. And then when you it's experience some, because He'll keep us so we don't get into pride. Stay humble. Be lowly like Jesus. You don't get it. Just like Jesus said to the disciples that come back, Jesus, man, we cast out, they didn't listen to us. They listened to us. He goes, no glory. I seen Satan fall like lightning. Don't gloat in this, but be happy your name's written in the Lamb's book of life. That's what we rejoice in. Because that's what we get to look forward to. That's what we're working to. So if we're stepping right and we're walking right, this is the closest to hell we're ever going to get. So we got to change this temporal mindset. Instead of letting the world influence us, the negative, nasty stuff going on in the world affect us. Let's start being what He called us to be.
Amen.
And Him reflect off us and influence them. Because that's what it's all about. Are we going to give up? No. Some of us are sowers, some come in water, some come and work the soil. Right? But God sees. And God works. See, that's where we got to let go and let God. If we throw in the seed, well, we don't. Try to make them change. Try to do this. Try to do that. He doesn't say to do that. Step in faith and obedience. Rejoice in me always. Rejoice. Reflection. It's man, because here, and here's the fruit. Here's the fruit. Those who don't want none and are totally denying it shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion to the foxes, meaning they're going to, every sly little thing that's put across them is what they're going to want to chase.
Oh.
All their little lies, that's what they're going to chase. Right? But the king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that swears by Him shall glory. Shall glory. It's it walking in His life, in His goodness, in His kindness. We can do that here. You see? And then what's it say? But the mouth of those that speak lies shall be stopped. They're the ones going to get the not so good stuff. The not so good stuff. It's what? Listen. He doesn't want any to perish. But if we keep sinning, what's sin do? Sin brings death. So if we want to continue sinning and drifting away from God, you see,
No.
then we're going to be subject to that happening. We run a risk. The further we drift away from God, the further we drift away, instead of becoming reliant on Him for everything, the more we're susceptible to being gotten by one of the foxes, by one of the little lies. It's going to trip us up, and we're going to fall. So God's trying to get us in the habit of what? Going to Him, being with Him all the time. It's not a part-time gig. When we sign on and we did a covenant with God, and we understand the power of that covenant, all right, I'm laying it all down before Him. I'm not going to try to pick it back up. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. Listen, if it's an outside thing, it's between you and God. We'll help each other. But understand, God's cleaning. Because the enemy's going to try to take whatever it is you're using on the outside and throw it against you. God ain't worried about your outside. But He has everything to do with your inside. And He wants your heart. All your heart. It says, all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. If that heart begins to follow, the more the heart follows. And we get used to these good ways of doing things, and His way of doing things, and rejoicing in Him even when we don't feel like it. Coming, even though we don't feel like it. Even though, listen, we're all susceptible to it. But once again, you see why we need each other. And we reach out to one another. Because, dude, I'm struggling. And you see, I go to God first. He'll say, call this person. Or text that person.
Yes.
I go to God first. If I reach out, I don't know if that person's having a bad day too. So what happens when two bad days collide? I'm just using an example. It doesn't get any better, does it?
No.
You see what I'm saying? So it's making the right call. So if we go to God, God, do you want me to call somebody? I'm coming to you first. You see what I'm saying? So we get to change some of these ways we do things. Even the most littlest, because He'll honor the most littlest of ways, man.
Yes.
See, our worldly thing, we get so fixated on the big things. No. Little. It's just like, it's like a digital picture. Right? We see the big picture. But how many of us see the millions of pixels it takes to make that picture? We've got to pay attention to the little things. Sometimes that's taking that step back. Getting godly focus back on things. Then they'll say, all right, now look at the big. Oh, I didn't see it that way before. Or it may take a little bit of time, and He'll show us that bigger picture. So we got to pay attention to the little pixels, the little meaningless people, or, I'm going to use your grandson as an example, all right? So when we let go, that's a big pixel, right? Big picture, right? Okay, all right, I laid $100 down at the altar. I'll lay my control down at the altar, right? I'm trusting in you, God. and you pay attention to Daisy. Harley. Somebody that has absolutely nothing to do with the picture. But yet is still a pixel in God's big picture. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What happens is it begins to change that perspective.